Greetings, all, and welcome back to Simple Living Happy Home. It is no secret that inflation is a big problem right now, and everything is costing more. Today, we're going to talk about ways to cut costs to get through this difficult time. Now, there are some costs that shouldn't be cut, and there's some costs that just can't be cut. Like a mortgage, probably can't cut those costs much. And something like insurance probably shouldn't cut those costs because insurance is needed. Some areas that you can cut costs are going to be things like groceries. It is no mystery that eating out is always going to be more expensive than cooking for yourself at home. And more often than not, it's healthier to cook for yourself at home. So, what you want to do is to work on meal planning each week and go to the grocery store with a list to keep you from impulse buying. The other thing you want to do when you're creating your meal plan is make sure you're doing it when you're actually in your house. So you can look through your cupboards to see what ingredients and things do you already have that you won't have to buy additional things. You can also look through your cupboards, figure out what you do have, and create your meals surrounding the items that you already own. Another way to cut grocery costs is by not buying name brand. Now, there are some things where buying name brand is better, but I found this to be rather rare. Buying off-brand can save you as much as 50 cents to $1 per item. When you're doing your meal plans, they don't have to be these big, elaborate three-course dinners. You basically just need to have an idea of what you're going to have for each meal that week. The other thing that you should do is to actually have that meal schedule in your kitchen somewhere, so that way you know what you were supposed to make for that day. The other thing that this helps with is that if you're supposed to be having hamburgers for supper that night, you can make sure to pull a pound of hamburger out of the freezer so that way it's already thawed by the time you would be getting to dinner time. It's always easier to prepare meals at home if you can do some of that meal prep beforehand. When it comes to non-perishables, try to buy those in bulk if you can find them for a better price. Places like Costco, Sam's Club, and even Whole Foods markets can have those non-perishable food items in a much larger size, and ultimately you spend less per ounce or per item. Make sure that you do some price checking though to verify that you're actually getting a better deal. Also, for non-perishables, use resources like Amazon Subscribe and Save, where you can actually get an additional discount for ordering multiple things on a schedule. So when it comes to the subscribe and save, if you're ordering 5 or more items in a particular delivery, Amazon will actually put on an additional 5 to 15% discount for each of those items. The same with bulk though, make sure that you price check what you would be paying with subscribe and save versus what you would be paying from a regular store to ensure that you're actually getting a good deal. And the other thing to watch for is make sure that you're not buying something just because it's a good deal, and make sure that you're getting things because you actually need them. Some of the things that we get through Amazon Subscribe and Save are our dishwasher cleaning capsules, our dog food, our garbage bags, our laundry soap. If you're looking at more long range solutions in order to save money, try buying fruits and vegetables when they're in season and buy a lot of them. And then learn some food preservation techniques, whether that's canning, drying, dehydrating, so that way you can take all of those items, preserve them the way you would prefer to, and then have access to those throughout the year, even when they're not in season. This allows you to buy those fresh perishable items in bulk without having to worry about them going bad. The second area that can help really cut some costs is with your electric use or your gas use. Remember all those times your parents yelled at you for turning off lights when you left a room or closing the fridge because you were letting all the cold air out? Okay, maybe that was just me. But they made a good point. Doing those things will ultimately help save money on your energy bill. Another thing that can help a lot with your heating for your house if you live in a cold climate is actually turning your thermostat down to a colder temperature so your heating source doesn't have to work as hard to keep it at a higher temperature. If you live in a warmer climate, try turning your AC temperature up so again, it doesn't have to try to lower the temperature as much. The bigger the difference between the external temperature and the internal temperature of your house, the bigger the energy cost is going to be. To make those temperatures more tolerable, if you live in a colder climate, think about wearing more layers. And if you're living in a warm climate, think about wearing less layers or opening your windows at night when the temperature drops to help provide some natural air conditioning. If it's warm outside, try to avoid using your oven or your stove that's going to heat up the house. So eating cold foods like sandwiches can help to decrease how hard your air conditioning has to work to keep the house at a particular temperature. You can also look at turning the temperature up in your fridge and freezer, so long as you don't turn it up too high where it's not actually preserving the food correctly. The third area that you can cut some costs is with gas in your car by making multiple errand trips. So if you're having to run any errands, try to plan doing all of those errands out in one trip. Also, try to plan the order that you're going to do your errands so that way you're not having to backtrack and end up using more gas to go between locations. If you have errands to run where they're in kind of a close proximity to each other, think about parking your car in a central location and walking to each individual errand rather than driving your car from store to store. If you live close enough to your errands, think about riding your bicycle. When we lived in our apartment before we bought this house, we were about a mile and a half away from where I worked. So in the summertime, I would frequently ride my bike to work rather than drive. The fourth thing you can do is to try a no spend month. What you're going to do with this is basically try to go an entire month without buying anything additional outside your normal monthly expenses of food, gas, and utilities. This is going to help you avoid impulse buying as well as ensuring that you're only buying the things you actually need. The fifth thing you can do to help save some cash is to try to do some home repairs and things yourself. There are a lot of great tutorials and resources online and videos about how to do just about everything for your home. Being able to do some of those projects yourself can save you hundreds of dollars rather than having to get in a repairman to do it for you. If it's something that you can't do yourself, say like changing your own oil in your car, see if you can get a hold of a friend or a family member who could do it for you for maybe a nice home cooked meal or $10. The sixth thing you can do is to cancel subscriptions, especially ones that you haven't used in a while. Take a look on your phone and see if there's any apps that you haven't really used very much that you've been paying for. Also, look at the apps that you are paying for or the services that you're paying for and see if there's any out there that you could maybe bundle together in order to save yourself some money from paying for multiple different services. The seventh thing you can do is to find free hobbies. Boredom can be one of the biggest killers to your bank account. When we're bored, we have a tendency to buy. If you can find hobbies or activities that don't cost anything, it's going to distract you from that boredom as well as give you something to do that's not going to take away from your monthly budget. Well, those are just some of the things that you can do on a monthly basis to help decrease your costs and get through this period of inflation. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other ideas on how to cut costs. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you soon.